Hi guys! I hope that you're all doing well, and before I get started with this video I'm going to apologise because I think that the lighting might be a little bit weird. It's very sunny outside today, which makes for a nice change, but the sun's kind of coming in the window at a weird angle, so we shall see what it looks like. Today I wanted to talk about something that I have been thinking about a lot recently because it's been kind of talked about in the industry, and that is crossover television. Now, you can already tell from the title of this video that I am a fan of crossover television, and I thought that I would talk a little bit today about why I'm such a fan of it, and then just throw in a couple of ideas that I have for crossover episodes of TV shows that I think would be amazing. So if you are a big fan of television, you probably have noticed that this idea of mashing up TV shows and crossover episodes between different shows has been cropping up a lot recently. One of the most obvious ones is over on the CW. We have had a lot of crossovers between Arrow and The Flash since both of these shows began. There's been lots of crossover episodes, but now going into the 5th season of Arrow, and I can't remember what season it is for the other shows, but going into Arrow season 5, we are going to have a 4-show crossover between Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow. So we're going to have this 4-show crossover with all the characters appearing in the one episode or a couple of episodes, and I'm so excited for it. I think that sort of comic book genre is one of the easier types of show to do crossovers with. It's been done repeatedly in the past. You've had sort of mashups of these different comic book characters appearing together in different things. So I think that that is a kind of natural genre to do these types of crossover episodes with. However, I really want us to start seeing more crossovers across multiple different genres of television, and I will tell you why. For me, as I have expressed many times before, I am a huge fan of television and a fan of television over film for my own personal reason, which is that I really invest in character growth and character progression and getting to know a character very well, which I think is something that you can do in a very short form version in film. You can have a very well written, very well acted character, but you only get to spend, you know, a couple of hours with them. Whereas for me, I really enjoy that ability to spend years of someone's life seeing what they go through and how they progress and grow and the different relationships that they form. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of TV. So for me, crossover television is a wonderful thing because it allows these characters to exist in more than one fictional space. And I think that when they exist in more than one fictional space, they seem even more real than they do when they just exist in their one show. Does that make sense? Like if you've got, say, Lorelai Gilmore in Stars Hollow in Gilmore Girls, she is a character who exists in that one space and that is the only place that we see her in, so we just kind of associate her as a person from that one show, and that's like a little boxed in situation, and it's an incredible show and she's an incredible character. But if Lorelai Gilmore was to have appeared in an episode of House, do you know what I mean? Then you'd suddenly go, oh, hold on a minute, she can appear in this other universe, in this other, you know, fictional space, and that just gives even more depth to these characters who you already know and love. Having spoken about the kind of comic book universe crossovers at the start of the video, there's also been announced that there's going to be a crossover episode between New Girl and Brooklyn Nine-Nine this season, which I'm really pleased about. I've not really seen much of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, to be honest. I've just seen snippets and I do have to sit down and properly watch it. But I am a fan of New Girl and a fan of that type of sort of comedy show, and so I love that in this instance we're getting a crossover that isn't in that sort of superhero genre. It's moving into a sort of comedy space. So I think that's a really positive sign. So yeah, that's really why I love crossover television. I love the ability to see characters interact. Like characters that you love in one show interact with characters that you love in another show. That's really fun in itself. And especially when you maybe watch a show and think, oh, that person, I love that person and I love that person. They would get on so well. What a shame they're in different shows. The opportunity to cross them over and have them meet and collide in whichever universe it is, whichever space they've been written into, it's just a lot of fun. And so I'm a big fan of it. What do you think of crossover TV? Let me know in the comments down below. Are you a fan of this type of thing? I know that some people aren't. I've seen people tweet plenty of times that they would prefer things just get left in their own space, but for me, I'm all for it, and I hope that we see lots more of it in years to come. So what I thought I would also do in this video is just give a bit of a rundown of a few crossovers that I would really like to see happen. Just things that I've come up with in my head that I've been like, that would be so fun if we had a crossover episode between these two shows. And once I've done that, please let me know in the comments down below what some shows you would really like to see crossover are, because I love hearing people talk about this. This is something I could talk about all day. Just for your information before I continue with this is going to be a spoiler-free section. I'm going to talk about shows that I'd like to see crossover and characters that I'd like to see meet, but I'm not going to go into any great depth about what these characters have been through, just to avoid spoiling it for anybody. So you guys already know some of the shows that I'm most obsessed with, so some of these will come as no surprise. But two shows that I am completely obsessed with at the moment, two of my favourite shows on the air, are Once Upon a Time and Arrow, and I would really love to see a crossover between the two of these. Now I realise that that probably sounds very strange because Arrow is a sort of superhero vigilante comic book style show and Once Upon a Time is a fairy tale fantasy type show. So to an extent they feel like they're sort of sitting in different genres, but I think that there's enough magic that's kind of wound into Arrow at points, and there's enough kind of kick-ass action sequences that are worked into ones that you know, the ability to cross them over and have these characters meet is not completely out with the realms of possibility. Now, the two characters who I would most like to see meet in this situation would be Oliver Queen and Emma Swan. I feel like they have both been through a lot, and I feel like if they could meet and talk about a lot of the things that they've been through and sort of go, this is what I tweeted yesterday, if they could meet in group therapy, I just feel like there's so much potential for amazing stuff to happen there. I feel like they both need to talk about how they're feeling, like not necessarily with their family or, you know, partners, just to find someone who's also been through a lot of really stressful things. So I feel like they could like meet and bond and talk about that, and then while they're doing that we could have Kellyanne and Felicity talking about how difficult it is to have to kind of, you know, support someone who goes through all of these traumatic things. So I think that that would be really nice. I would love that. I think that that would be such a nice and probably quite therapeutic episode to watch, and I think that it would do both of the characters quite a lot of good. I also think that both of them would be really helpful in each other's universe. I feel like having Oliver Queen in Storybrooke would just like make life so much easier, and having Emma Swan appear in Star City. Emma could totally join Team Arrow. I have no doubt that she could join Team Arrow and be a totally kick-ass part of it, so I would really like to see that. The other thing that I would really enjoy seeing in an Arrow versus Once Upon a Time crossover would be Malcolm Merlyn going up against Rumpelstiltskin. Like, I genuinely don't know, I don't know who would win in that situation, and I don't know who would, I don't know who could sink lower, if that makes sense. Like, I've genuinely been thinking about this recently, and I'm like, if I had to trust one of these two characters, who would I choose? And I still don't know. So yeah, that's my number one crossover dream episode at the moment, is Once Upon a Time versus Arrow. I think that that would be amazing. Another one that I'm crying out for at the moment, and I feel like this could totally happen because these are both Rob Thomas shows and he's still very close to this particular actress, but I would love to see Veronica Mars and iZombie crossover. Rob Thomas is the creator of both of these shows. Veronica Mars has a huge cult following and has a movie, and there's sort of maybe potentially talks of doing a limited series at some point. So Veronica Mars still very much, although it was cancelled in 2007, it still is a huge and important part of the television canon, and I think people would be really pleased to see Veronica back. I certainly would. And I just think seeing her appearing in Seattle and meeting up with Liv and helping her solve one of her cases would be so cool. What I love about iZombie is all the little kind of Veronica Mars references there are. If you've watched Veronica Mars and you've now watched iZombie, then you'll have recognised it yourself. There's so many little nods to Veronica Mars sewn kind of into it. I love the kind of self-consciousness of iZombie. I love how aware it is of its own genre and its own format, but I also love all these little nods to Veronica Mars, and I just think that the icing on the cake of that situation would be to have Veronica herself, maybe Veronica and Logan even, because I love Veronica and Logan, turning up in iZombie would be amazing. The next one that I would love to see, and neither of these shows are still on the air, they've both finished, which makes me really sad because I'd love to see more of both of them. But I think this is one that quite a lot of people would probably enjoy, and that would be The Office versus Parks and Recreation crossover. I just want an episode where we see Leslie Knope and Michael Scott in the same place at the same time. I want to just see all these characters meeting each other. I want Jim and Pam to hang out with Leslie and Ben. I just think that that would be so unbelievably cute. I just feel like there's so many similarities between a lot of the characters. Like, I just really want Gary slash Jerry slash Larry to hang out with Toby and talk about their miserable work lives, even though they have very different responses to their work situations. I would just kind of love to see them hang out and talk about their experiences at work. I think that that would be very cute. And yeah, I love everyone in both of these shows so much that I just think that mashing them up together and having an episode where they all hang out would be so much fun. Another kind of obvious one that at the moment I would really like to see would be Flight of the Conchords and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. They're both musical TV shows, they both have incredible songs sewn throughout each episode, and I would just really love to see an episode where they all like hang out and sing together. I think that that would be amazing. Another one, and this sounds like a slightly strange one, and I am an entire season behind on this show, so I don't know what's happened in season 2, so maybe I would change my mind about this one, but I would really like to see a crossover between How to Get Away with Murder and House. I know that that sounds a little bit strange, but I would have really liked to see, obviously House is no longer on the air, but I would really have liked to see House himself get involved in all of the kind of drama and craziness that's happening in How to Get Away with Murder. And he's so clever when it comes right down to it. He's a very complicated man, but he's a very clever man, and he finds so many clever ways to solve all of these medical situations that I feel like he would be great in How to Get Away with Murder. Actually, he'd probably be their worst nightmare in terms of like the main characters. They'd probably hate the fact that he was lurking around, but I just think that it would be interesting to see him in that kind of very different, non-sort of medical hospital space, but in a sort of university space, but dealing with murder and crime. I think that that would be great. And this one probably sounds a little bit strange, but I would really love to see a crossover between Gilmore Girls and Grace and Frankie. Basically, I just feel like if we got a chance to see Emily Gilmore hanging out with Grace and Frankie, I think that would be amazing. I think I would just love to see Frankie's response to her. I feel like Emily and Grace would probably clash quite a lot to begin with because they've got quite a lot of similarities, and then I feel like the more time they spent together they might get along really well, and I feel like Frankie could probably help Emily in a lot of the ways that she's probably helped Grace. So I would really like to see that. I think that that would be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, but let me know in the comments down below what crossover TV episodes you would like to see. If you would like to see any of the ones that I have mentioned, please let me know. We can have a chat about it. And talk about all the wonderful endless possibilities that these episodes could have. I hope that you're having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more from me. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye! Now, Ugly Betty was one of these shows that when it came on the scene to begin with, it was just this like phenomenon, and for the first 1 or 2 seasons it was massive. Everyone was watching it, everyone was talking about it.